For USCFootball.com, I'm Jack Smith alongside Chris Treviño for instant analysis from USC's Wednesday evening practice of Stanford week. And Chris, it is a rivalry week. Doesn't exactly feel like it because USC playing Stanford in week 2, but what were some of your biggest practice observations?
Yeah, it was a pretty standard practice. Great weather, by the way. A little bit hotter, but it burned off really quickly. I felt like everyone was in a really good mood today. Lincoln Riley seemed to be in a really good mood. Tackett Curtis was in a really good mood. Dante Williams was having a lot of fun coming out to practice. So I just felt like everyone was in a upbeat, positive mood moving forward into this game week. And then the biggest observation is we saw those pursuit drills, which is a typical thing we see on Wednesdays, was Rajon Davis and Tackett Curtis were the first team linebackers. Again, I don't know how much you want to take away from the pursuit drill, but yeah, that's what we saw. Tackett Curtis, Rajon Davis, the first team linebackers. I can say Eric Gentry and Mason Cobb were both dressed fully in pads, or it was just a shells practice, but they were dressed in their pads. But yeah, that was kind of the biggest thing. So it's going to be interesting to see who goes out there with the first team linebackers going to this Pac-12 matchup.
Well, and after practice, we got another pretty loaded cast of people to talk to, but another freshman media debut. We've been blessed with so many different freshmen to talk to. This time, it was Deuce Robinson, the 5-star freshman wide receiver who had his first touchdown the other day. What were some of your biggest takeaways from talking to Deuce for the first time?
You all can thank me for getting all the freshmen because I tweeted out that Lincoln Riley doesn't let freshmen talk their first year, and then after that, he's like, boom, freshman. So thank me. It's all my fault. But yeah, Duce Robinson, very well spoken. Obviously a 5-star guy, got a lot of interview practice as a top prospect and also a high-end baseball. Jack, you love baseball. You can talk about that. But yeah, he was very well spoken, very excited to be, kind of be in front of the cameras and talking. He loved, that touchdown. He loved everyone going crazy for him. That it was 71 yards or something like that. But he's a big body, obviously 6'6", biggest guy on the team, but he also loves to show that he's got some top-end speed. I think he hit about 21.8 miles per hour, something like that. He is a fast guy, and he was like, yeah, I just wanted to go out there, show people I can get up to speed. Taj Washington was like, yeah, he's been doing that since he got on campus. He can hit that top-end speed. I've seeing him working on it, so to have it translate into a game is pretty big time. And he's like, he is the biggest player on the team, but he has a lot of guys that he looks up to, even though he's the tallest guy. Older veterans, wide receivers, Taj Washington, Brendan Rice, those guys have been helping him along. He has 2 little brothers at home, but he feels like the little brother here, just them helping him along and, showing him the USC experience and hopefully, more snaps are in the future for the big weapon.
Yeah, I didn't have a chance to ask him what he felt about Mario Williams joking that they never get to see his knees raised because he is a fast guy, but he did confirm that he will be playing baseball at USC, so he hasn't figured out the logistics of it yet or the schedule of it, but he said he's in constant communication with head coach Andy Stankiewicz, so you will see Deuce Robinson on the baseball field. Who knows if he'll be a starter for USC, how much he'll play, but he will be out there. He'll be on the roster, on the team. He said he's going to focus on that towards the end of the football season, so he's not really going to be back and forth, hasn't been in the batting cages a whole ton, but towards the end of the season, once he maybe figures out what his role is more for football or once the baseball season is coming a little bit closer, he will be a baseball player for USC. So that kind of answered the question that some fans had, whether he would be a multi-sport athlete at USC. The answer is yes, and I think Shotgun and I are going to have a podcast episode sometime soon about USC baseball, so now we'll have a chance to hopefully ask Andy Stankiewicz about what he sees from Robinson on the baseball field. But the rest of the questions were kind of all about football, and it was just good to see another freshman out there for USC, all very well media trained. They've given great answers, and Deuce, a very personable guy to talk to, and I would say he nailed his first interview as a freshman. But we got to talk to a couple other people as well. Who was the next big standout for you?
Well, we did get to talk to Caleb Williams, obviously, as the returning Heisman winner. He is a staple of every media availability every weekend. And the first question, obviously today that big GQ article came out with his dad saying, hey, there's a possibility, we come back for 2024. We don't go to the 2024 draft because depending on who's the top team. And obviously, that's going to, get a lot of people talking on Twitter, get a lot of USC fans excited. One more year possibly of Caleb Williams. And he was asked the first question about his dad's comments about that. And ever the professional, Caleb Williams deflected. He got out of the question like Houdini, like he gets out of a sack pressure on game day. He was like, it is Stanford week, and they just went into talking about Stanford. And he said, that is going to be my answer for any questions about the NFL. That's what I am focused on, the fact that we have a game coming up in 3 days, the fact that I have this season to look forward to. I only have 10 games left that I have the opportunity to play in for this season, so I'm going to take in all my focus and focus on that, and that's going to be my answer for any NFL questions.
Yeah, he really did just kind of, brush it to the side, and understandably so. He is focused on Stanford. Said he doesn't want to let down his teammates on Saturday, and the motivation is he's got 10 games left that are at least promised to him here in college football, and they're working for 3 more. They want to be able to make the Pac-12 championship game, and then they hope 2 playoff games, including the national championship. So Caleb Williams clearly still focused on college. Still don't know, what the answer is based on that question, but it was a little bit telling that his dad, was out there in a public article addressing, that fact. A lot of different quarterbacks, prospects that have been projected to go number 1. These rumors always come out. I think it came out with Trevor Lawrence that he wouldn't want to go play for the Jaguars. He ended up doing it, so really, you don't know what to make of it at this point. We'll kind of have to wait, I think, until the end of the season, which I think is smart of Caleb to, push it to the end of the season, focus on the team that he's playing right now, and I bet there's not much of his focus is actually on the NFL at this current moment.
Yeah, I mean, it came out. We have to ask him about it, but he also does not have to answer it, and that it was a veteran play by him, but saying, focus on the team, focus on the team, focus on the team. Let's talk about Stanford. That's what his kind of focus was.
Another one of the big questions that was posed today was about the defensive front for Stanford. Of course, David Bailey has wreaked a lot out of havoc just through one game against Hawaii, but that entire front was kind of a big talking point today with guys like Justin Zedich, some other guys that we talked to. What was your biggest takeaway there?
I think the biggest thing, talking to Justin Dedich about it, obviously he's the closest to the front you're going to see. He talked about how these guys don't tend to move around as much as the previous opponents did, Nevada, more so San Jose State. So he said they don't do a lot of motions. You can tell they're very disciplined. Like, everyone kind of knows their assignment. And he said you can see that on tape. The defensive linemen probably know what the safety's responsibilities are. So they have this kind of cohesion across the defense, very disciplined. He kept saying discipline over and over. So this is going to be a big game for them to, keep it tight. It's gonna be interesting to see, especially with a guy like David Bailey roaming the sidelines, the guy who had 3 sacks last week, 4 tackles for a loss. They have to find a way to neutralize him. And Justin Dedich even said, he has to be better because discipline, that's been a kind of an issue with the penalties for the offensive line. And he was like, let's get it out the way, guys. I had some penalties on Saturday. It was on me. He was playing a little bit too antsy. He said he really had to calm himself down, settle down a little. So you're hoping you get a much more settled Justin Dedich on Saturday. He knows he has to settle down. So he's like, I'm putting the onus on me that I have to be better moving into this week. It's Stanford week, Pac-12. This is a conference game.
The other thing that was interesting is, Austin Jones was made available. Obviously a running back, one of the few players on the USC roster that has been at Stanford and at USC. He has seen the rivalry from both sides. I asked him, how would you define the rivalry? And he said it's a bigger rivalry than most people think. And I think that a couple of years ago it felt bigger than it does right now, but the fact that USC is heading to the Big Ten, Stanford's going to the ACC, this is probably the last game between USC and Stanford, at least for quite some time. And the fact that it's being played in week 3, for USC, week 2 for Stanford, being played very early in the season once again, I feel like some of that rivalry juice has worn off a bit, but he said, it is a bigger rivalry than most people think, and especially seeing it from both sides, he has a better understanding, I think he thinks, than most about the rivalry between USC and Stanford. So that was just something interesting. I know USC fans, feel the rivalry with Stanford because, of course, they've been watching for quite some time, but a lot of the players right now, whether they're at USC, guys that have transferred in, or some of the newer freshmen, they might not see Stanford as big of a rival as, most fans do, which I thought was interesting. I don't know if you would say the same.
Right. I didn't honestly, I really didn't get the feel this week that it felt like a rivalry week. It just didn't have that feel. For me personally, as someone who's covered a lot of Stanford USC games throughout the years, and I don't know, maybe it's just the weirdness of it all, that it's, this is kind of the last one. We don't know if they're going to play again. You would think that would make it more of an intense week just because it's going to be the final one in a storied head-to-head matchup between these two programs, but it kind of didn't feel like that. I asked the player about it. He kind of hemmed and hawed. It was like, they didn't really have a straight answer about it. So, it's kind of a weird feeling. It didn't really feel like, a Stanford USC, but it is a big game. Let's not downplay that. I think Stanford is better than going to be better than people expect them to be. They showed some things on offense. They have a new spread offense, so it's not really a traditional Stanford team. As you mentioned, they have a lot of new faces over there, new offense, new coach. So it's just a weird week, Jack. But again, I expect USC has to put their best foot forward in this because Stanford is hungry for a big win, especially in the Coliseum, a place they won 2 years ago.
Well, I won't make you predict it quite yet. I'll let you give away some little nuggets for the rest of practice. What were some things that stuck out to you either during practice or after during the interview sessions?
My 2 biggest nuggets from talking to people came from 2 wide receivers, Michael Jackson and Taj Washington. First, you've probably seen on social media, but if you haven't, go check out Marshawn Lloyd's block for Taj Washington's big first touchdown, that 21-yarder. Marshawn Lawrence just comes flying in and makes that block for him. And I asked Taj Washington about it. He was like, yeah, that's kind of the way the play was designed. And he felt him coming up with all that speed, and he was like, I'm actually going to slow down a little bit to let him get in front of me. So Taj Washington could feel that. Marshawn Lawrence, because I asked him, did you kind of see it in the moment, or is it something you saw later in film? He's like, no, he felt it on the field, game day, and the moment. And yeah, it was a great block, and that's something that gets everyone hyped to see someone make an unselfish play like that. And speaking of unselfish, Lincoln Riley called Taj Washington one of the most unselfish players he's ever coached as a head coach. And Taj said that meant a lot to him, and that's just who he is. That's how he was raised. And he said, I'll give you the shirt off my back if you need me to. And then he said it was funny because he wasn't wearing a shirt post-practice. He was like, that's funny, I'm not wearing a shirt. So, yeah, so those are kind of two big nuggets. And then I asked Taj Washington about Michael Jackson's famed Michael Jackson touchdown dance celebration that I put on social media that went crazy. And he was like, I was so hyped. We've been trying to get him to do that for years, and he finally did it. I asked, what do you think pushed him over the top to do? He's like, I don't know, maybe just the spur of the moment. But Mike Jack, I asked him about it. He's like, because Michael Jackson, very low-key kind of guy. If you meet him, kind of quiet. That's how everyone describes him. But he was like, yeah, I just want to have a little more fun. I'm going to show people more of my fun side this year, so you can expect more things like that. I don't know if it meant more touchdown celebrations or more Michael Jackson-inspired celebrations. I hope it's more Mike Jack celebrations, like you were talking about moonwalking. I think that's a little hard on the turf.
He's got to figure out how to do it if he's going to show us his fun side, though.
Yeah, I mean, you could do the Thriller, maybe for Halloween.
Can you do that one more time? Sorry.
Yeah, just.
We're going to put that to music, I think.
Yeah, someone will do that. You just a slow zoom in on my face. Yeah, but I'm just hoping we get to see more of that fun side. So hopefully more Michael Jackson touchdowns in the future, so we can see some more fun, creative touchdown celebrations.
Well, you just showed your fun side, so I think Mike Jack has to do it now. But I'm going to make you do your not fun side. I know you don't like giving predictions here on Wednesdays, but I'm going to make you do it. USC and Stanford, I believe the line is somewhere, varies between 27 and 29 from different places that I've seen it. So USC clearly favored by a lot again in the Coliseum. Maybe the last matchup that we will ever cover between USC and Stanford for quite some time. What's your prediction?
I'm going to go 55-24 USC. I just don't think Stanford's defense, especially their pass defense, which was gutted by Hawaii, they could do whatever they wanted against them. And obviously, we know Caleb Williams and that passing attack, very lethal, and I think they're going to have their way. And obviously, I think they're a much better run team than Hawaii was in week one. So I'm expecting a lot of points to be put up. The defense, that's still a bit of a question. Can they stop their big tight end, Ben Urasek? That might lead to some early scores early, but I feel like I'm giving them about 10 points in garbage time there at the end of this game. So 24-55, I think that will cover it for the 29 points. I'm going after the 29 cover, so 55-24, that's my score.
Well, we'll see. It's going to be an interesting one. Yeah, keep doing that dance while I finish this outro. USC and Stanford will play on Saturday. It'll be a late night one in the Coliseum, so you better strap in, have some caffeine in the middle of the day so you can stay up through Pac-12 after dark. The last Pac-12 opener for USC before they head off to the Big Ten, and the first game in the conference at all this year, which I think is pretty interesting. But a rivalry matchup in week 3 for USC. So enjoy that one and stay up late because it's going to be a long game, and I'm sure we'll have a long night in the Coliseum. If you want more USC and Stanford preview, we will be live tomorrow night on Tunnel Vision. We'll give you a more in-depth breakdown of how these two teams compare, maybe a little bit more about what you can expect from Stanford this season, and then we'll head on to Saturday. But for Chris Treviño, I'm Jack Smith. Check out uscfootball.com for more.
He's trying to hijack it. Today is Jack Smith's birthday. I got breaking news confirmation. He tried to end it on me. It is his birthday, so I want a happy birthday, Jack Smith, in the comments. Hashtag, what are you, 20?
Yeah.
Hashtag 20. Please, happy birthday to Jack Smith. He's a great contributor and instant analysis guru, so thank you.
It feels weird not having the mic in my hand.
Yeah, I'm not good at this, but happy birthday to Jack Smith. I need that in the comments. Thank you. We're out.